Good evening, friends. In life, we all want to be understood, seen, and heard. There's this natural desire to open up, to share who we are with the world. But here's something I've learned along the way. Not everyone needs to know your story, and certainly not all of it. The truth is, there's power in keeping parts of yourself private and holding back just a little. Not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting something precious yourself. It's easy to feel like you owe everyone an explanation for everything, like you need to lay all your cards on the table for people to respect or value you. But the reality is, not everyone who hears your story is rooting for you. Some people aren't looking to understand you, they're just looking to use the knowledge they have for their own benefit. We have to recognize that sharing too much of ourselves can leave us vulnerable. There's wisdom in being selective, in knowing when to open up and when to hold back. Sometimes the parts of you that you don't reveal are the very parts that keep you strong. So let's embrace the balance, knowing when to share and when to stay silent. When you control your narrative, you control your power. Because at the end of the day, the most important person who needs to know and understand you is you. Every one of us carries a story. It's not just the events that have shaped us, but the emotions, the struggles, and the triumphs that only we fully understand. And the thing is, your story is more valuable than you might realize. It's not just a timeline of moments, it's a collection of everything that has made you who you are today. But here's the key: that story, your journey, is precious. It's not something that needs to be shared with everyone or laid out for the world to dissect. Because when you understand the true value of your experiences, you realize that they are part of your foundation. They're the reason you stand tall today. And what's precious, well, you protect it. You don't just let anyone handle it, right? The same goes for your story. There's a lot of pressure out there to be an open book, to share everything, every success, every failure, every detail of your life. But the truth is, not everyone can appreciate what you've been through. Not everyone will handle your story with care. Some people won't see the beauty in the struggles you've overcome. Instead, they'll see it as an opportunity to judge, to criticize, or worse, to manipulate. That's why it's so important to hold on to the understanding that your story belongs to you. You decide who gets to hear it and how much they get to know. When you choose to share it, make sure it's with people who value you, who respect what it took for you to get here, and who won't use your vulnerability as a weapon. Your story has layers. Some parts are meant to be seen, while others are sacred, meant to be kept close to your heart. There's strength in knowing the difference. You can't let everyone have access to the most intimate parts of your journey because they might not be ready to honor it the way it deserves to be honored. So remember this: just because you've been through it doesn't mean the whole world needs to know about it. Your story, your path, your truth, it's all precious, and you get to choose when, where, and with whom you share it. When you honor your story, you honor yourself. And that, my friends, is the most important thing of all. Let me tell you something, it's a hard truth, but it's one we all need to understand: not everyone is rooting for you. And that's okay. The thing is, as much as we'd love for everyone to celebrate our wins and lift us up when we're down, that's just not how life works. People have their own agendas, their own insecurities, and sometimes seeing you succeed brings out things in them that have nothing to do with you. You see, there are people in your life who will smile to your face but quietly hope for your downfall. Some will clap when you win, but it's not real. They're just waiting for a chance to tear you down. Maybe it's because your light makes them uncomfortable with their own darkness. Maybe it's because your growth reminds them of where they're stuck. Whatever the reason, you need to recognize that not everyone who's around you is genuinely rooting for your success. We live in a world where everyone's putting their best selves on display. And that's fine. But behind the scenes, there are folks who are dealing with their own pain, their own struggles, and sometimes your happiness can trigger something in them. Instead of working on themselves, they focus on why you're thriving. They start looking for cracks in your foundation, hoping they can find a reason to believe you're not as solid as you seem. But here's the thing that's not your problem. You can't carry the weight of someone else's insecurities on your back. You have to keep moving forward, understanding that the people who truly matter, the ones who are genuinely rooting for you, will always rise above the noise. Now, this doesn't mean you need to live in fear or become overly guarded. It just means you need to be wise. Pay attention to who claps for you when you win, who sticks around when things get tough, and who shows up not just when it benefits them, but because they genuinely care. Surround yourself with those people because they're your tribe, your real supporters. At the same time, be aware of the ones who only seem happy for you on the surface. Watch for the subtle signs, the backhanded compliments, the sudden distance when things start going well for you. These are the people who, while they may be in your life, aren't really in your corner. And that's fine, you don't need them there. You have to understand that not everyone can handle your growth, your success, or even your happiness. Some people will try to dim your light because they haven't yet figured out how to shine their own. But that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to protect your peace, keep your circle tight, and stay focused on your journey. At the end of the day, the people who are really rooting for you will show up without hesitation, and the ones who aren't, well, they'll reveal themselves over time. When they do, just remember this: their lack of support has more to do with them than it does with you. Keep shining anyway. Vulnerability is a beautiful thing. It's that space where we allow ourselves to be seen for who we truly are, flaws and all. It's the moments when we strip away the mask we wear for the world, when we let down our guard and expose our hearts. But here's something we often forget: vulnerability needs protection. Just because it's beautiful doesn't mean it's safe. It needs to be handled with care, both by you and by the people you choose to share it with. See, being vulnerable is like opening a window to your soul. It takes courage to let people see the parts of you that aren't polished or perfect, but not everyone is capable of holding that kind of openness with the tenderness it deserves. Some will take advantage of your vulnerability, and others might not even realize the weight of what you're offering them. That's why it's so important to be selective about who gets to see you in that way. There's this misconception that being vulnerable means you have to be an open book, that you should just share everything with everyone. But the truth is, vulnerability isn't about being wide open for the world to see. It's about knowing when and with whom to let your guard down. It's about understanding that not every person who crosses your path deserves access to your inner world. When you share your deepest feelings, your fears, your hopes, and your wounds, you're giving someone a part of you that is delicate. And if they don't know how to care for it, they can end up doing more harm than good. It's like handing someone a fragile piece of glass. You wouldn't just give that to anyone without knowing they'll handle it with care. Your vulnerability deserves that same level of protection. The key is to find those people who have earned the right to see you vulnerable. People who won't use your openness against you, who won't judge you for the things you're still working through. Those are the people who will honor your vulnerability, who will hold it with compassion and empathy. But until you find them, you have to protect that part of yourself. Not because you're hiding, but because you're safeguarding something valuable. Being protective of your vulnerability isn't about building walls, it's about setting boundaries. It's about recognizing that while vulnerability can lead to connection and healing, it can also make you susceptible to pain if it's shared with the wrong person. There's a time and a place to be vulnerable, and it's up to you to decide when that time is and who's worthy of seeing the raw, unfiltered you. Remember, vulnerability is not weakness. It's one of the most courageous things you can offer someone. But courage doesn't mean recklessness. It means being brave enough to be vulnerable and wise enough to know when to protect it. You don't owe your vulnerability to everyone. You owe it to yourself to only share it with those who can hold it with the respect and love it deserves. So yes, be vulnerable, but be discerning. Let people see the real you, but make sure those people are worthy of the trust you're placing in them. Because your vulnerability is powerful, it's where your true strength lies. But even the strongest things need protection. There's a certain kind of strength that comes with knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. It's the power of selective sharing. You don't have to tell everyone everything. In fact, choosing what to share and with whom is one of the most empowering things you can do. It's about controlling your own narrative, protecting your space, and maintaining your sense of self. See, there's this pressure today to be completely open and transparent all the time. We live in a world where sharing has become almost automatic on social media, in our friendships, even in casual conversations. But just because there's space to share doesn't mean we need to fill it with our most intimate thoughts, our deepest struggles, or even our greatest victories. Not everyone deserves that access to your life. There's power in being intentional about what you reveal and what you hold close. It doesn't mean you're hiding anything, it means you're valuing yourself enough to know that not every part of your journey is for public consumption. It's understanding that some things are too precious, too personal to be laid out for just anyone to see. When you're selective about what you share, you're taking control. You're deciding how much of yourself to let others in on, and that's a powerful position to be in. It's not about building walls, it's about establishing healthy boundaries. Boundaries that protect your emotional well-being, your peace of mind, and your sense of security. You see, when you share everything with everyone, you give away pieces of yourself. And sometimes those pieces fall into the wrong hands. People who may not understand you, who might judge you, or even worse, who might use what they know against you. But when you're selective, you're in charge. You decide who gets to be part of your inner circle, who's earned the right to know the parts of you that aren't on display for the world. It's not about being secretive or closed off. It's about recognizing the value of your experiences, your emotions, and your truth. Some things are meant to be shared with people who've proven they can hold them with care. People who've shown that they won't take your vulnerability lightly or misuse the trust you place in them. Selective sharing also helps you protect your energy. Not every conversation needs to be a deep dive into your personal life. Sometimes it's perfectly okay to keep certain things to yourself, to preserve your energy for what truly matters. It allows you to stay focused on what's important without feeling drained by overexposing yourself to the wrong situations or people. When you're selective, you're also giving yourself room to reflect. Not every experience needs to be shared in real time. Some things need to be processed, understood, and lived with before you can share them with others. In being selective, you give yourself the space to figure out what those things mean to you before letting anyone else weigh in. So the next time you feel like you're expected to share more than you're comfortable with, remember that there's power in choosing what to reveal. Your story is yours to tell, but it's also yours to protect. You don't owe anyone full access to your life. You get to decide when and where to open up, and that choice, that power of selective sharing will keep you grounded, strong, and in control of your own path. There's something powerful about mystery. It has a way of capturing attention without demanding it, of holding space without ever having to fill it. When you keep certain parts of yourself hidden, it doesn't make you less, it makes you more intriguing, more commanding of respect. You don't need to show all your cards to gain respect sometimes. What you don't reveal speaks louder than anything you could ever say. You see, in a world where so many people are constantly sharing every thought, every feeling, every detail of their lives, mystery stands out. It's that quiet confidence that says, I don't have to tell you everything for you to recognize my worth. And there's a dignity in that. There's a strength in knowing that your value doesn't depend on how much of yourself you expose to others. When you allow people to see only what you choose, it creates an air of curiosity. It makes people wonder what's going on beneath the surface. That curiosity turns into a kind of respect because it shows that you're not looking for validation or approval. You're content in your own skin with or without the spotlight on every part of your life, and that self-assurance, it's magnetic. Now, mystery doesn't mean being closed off or distant. It's not about pushing people away. It's about knowing that not everything about you needs to be laid bare. Some things are sacred. Some things are for you alone or for the people closest to you. And when you choose to keep certain things private, it shows that you honor yourself enough to protect the parts of you that are most vulnerable. Mystery also invites others to approach you with a certain level of care and respect. When people can't immediately pin down everything about you, they tend to tread more carefully. They take their time to get to know you, to understand you. They realize that you're not someone who's going to offer up your whole life story on a silver platter. And that makes the moments when you do open up even more meaningful. But the real beauty of mystery is that it allows you to control your own narrative. You're not giving away every piece of yourself to be analyzed, judged, or misunderstood by people who may not have your best interests at heart. Instead, you hold on to your story, your experiences, and you decide how much of it to share and when. And that in itself is an act of self-respect. When people don't know everything about you, they have no choice but to focus on what you're doing, how you carry yourself, and the energy you bring into a room. They learn to respect the essence of who you are, not just the details of what you've been through. And often, it's that essence, that quiet, confident mystery that leaves the deepest impression. So don't feel pressured to explain yourself to everyone or to share more than you're comfortable with. Know that there's power and mystery in keeping parts of yourself protected and in letting people discover you on your terms, at your pace. It creates a sense of respect that comes not from what you say, but from how you carry the parts of yourself that no one else can fully see. There's a deep freedom that comes from realizing that not every moment in your life needs validation. Not every step you take, every decision you make, or every achievement you reach needs to be met with applause or approval from the outside world. The real magic happens when you learn to validate yourself, when you understand that your worth isn't dependent on someone else's opinion of you. You see, we've been conditioned to seek validation. From an early age, we're taught that approval comes from outside, whether it's from our families, our friends, or even strangers. We're constantly looking for confirmation that we're doing things right, that we're on the right path, that our choices are acceptable. But here's the truth: living for the validation of others will keep you stuck. It will keep you small. It will make you second-guess every move, every word, every dream. And that's not the life you're meant to live. Not every moment in your life needs to be shared, celebrated, or even understood by others. Some moments are for you and you alone. They're quiet victories, personal milestones, or even difficult choices that no one else needs to weigh in on. Because the reality is, no one knows your journey like you do. No one else has lived your experiences, felt your emotions, or understands the intricacies of your life. So why seek their validation for something only you can truly comprehend? The beauty of living without the constant need for validation is that it allows you to move through life with a sense of peace. You no longer need to explain yourself or justify your choices. You start trusting yourself more, trusting your intuition, your values, and your vision. And that's where real empowerment begins. When you stop seeking validation, you also free yourself from the fear of judgment. You no longer worry about whether others think you're doing enough or being enough. You stop living for the opinions of people who might not even understand what you're going through. Instead, you begin to find strength in the moments that belong solely to you, without the pressure of having to put them on display for approval. Now, this doesn't mean you can't share your joy or seek support when you need it. But it does mean that you don't have to live for the applause. You don't need constant reassurance to know that you're on the right path. You validate yourself by knowing that every step you take, every choice you make, is leading you closer to your own truth. Sometimes the most meaningful moments in life are the ones no one else sees. The quiet mornings when you reflect on how far you've come. The hard decisions that no one else knows you've had to make. The inner battles you've fought and won without a single person giving you a pat on the back. Those are the moments that build your character, that shape who you are, and those moments don't need validation from anyone but you. So give yourself permission to live fully in the present, without the constant need to broadcast your every move or wait for someone else's approval. Trust yourself, trust your journey. And know that the moments that matter most are often the ones that happen quietly, without fanfare, without validation, but with deep personal significance. When you stop needing validation, you start living for yourself, and that's where true fulfillment begins. There's a profound strength in silence that often goes unnoticed. In a world that thrives on constant noise and chatter, we sometimes forget the power that resides in the moments we choose not to speak. Silence speaks volumes, and it carries messages that words often fail to convey. It can be a sanctuary for introspection, a tool for reflection, and a way to communicate feelings that go beyond language. Think about it for a moment. In conversations, when someone pauses, it's not always an awkward gap. It can be a moment of thought, a chance to weigh their words carefully, or a sign that they're processing what's been said. Those silences can hold as much significance as the words that precede or follow them. They invite deeper understanding and give space for emotions that words might dilute or misrepresent. When we choose silence, we often allow ourselves to listen more deeply. We become attuned to the unspoken words, the body language, and the emotions that linger in the air. Sometimes a person might not know how to articulate their feelings, but their silence can tell you everything you need to know. It can reveal discomfort, confusion, or even deep thoughtfulness. When we truly listen, we pick up on those nuances that are often overshadowed by loud conversations. Silence also serves as a powerful tool for self-protection. In moments of turmoil or distress, the instinct might be to react immediately, to fill the air with words. But choosing silence can create a boundary, allowing you to collect your thoughts and emotions before responding. It gives you space to process your feelings rather than reacting impulsively, which can lead to misunderstandings or unnecessary conflict. Moreover, silence can be a form of strength in relationships. Sometimes when tensions rise or emotions run high, saying less can convey more. Instead of adding fuel to the fire with more words, a moment of silence can act as a pause, allowing everyone to breathe and reflect. It shows maturity and emotional intelligence, recognizing that not every situation needs to be resolved in the heat of the moment. That kind of restraint can foster deeper connections as it creates an environment where understanding can flourish. In moments of personal reflection, silence allows us to reconnect with ourselves. In the hustle and bustle of life, it's easy to lose sight of who we are and what we truly want. Silence offers us the opportunity to turn inward, to listen to our inner voice, and to reflect on our journey. Those quiet moments of contemplation can bring clarity, insight, and a deeper understanding of our emotions, desires, and fears. And let's not forget the power of silence in the face of judgment. When faced with negativity or criticism, sometimes the best response is no response at all. Choosing to remain silent can be a way to assert your dignity and self-respect. It sends a clear message that you refuse to engage in unproductive conversations or let others define your worth. Your silence becomes a shield, protecting your peace and affirming that you don't need to justify yourself to anyone. So embrace the moments of silence in your life. Recognize that not every thought needs to be vocalized, not every feeling requires validation through words. Understand that silence can be a profound expression of strength, resilience, and self-awareness. Let it guide your conversations, your reflections, and your relationships. In a world that often prioritizes noise, remember that sometimes it's in the silence that the loudest truths are revealed. In our fast-paced, hyper-connected world, privacy can feel like a luxury we can't afford. We live in an age where sharing has become second nature, where we often feel compelled to document every milestone, every emotion, and every fleeting thought. But in this rush to connect, we sometimes overlook a fundamental truth. Privacy fosters growth. It creates a sacred space where we can cultivate our true selves without the pressure of external expectations or judgments. When we think about growth, we often picture public achievements, graduations, promotions, new relationships, but the most profound transformations often happen quietly behind the scenes. Privacy allows us the freedom to explore our identities, our passions, and our goals without the constant scrutiny of others. It creates an environment where we can experiment, fail, and rise again without fear of public critique. In those private moments, we discover who we really are. We can embrace our interests, our quirks, and our dreams without worrying about how they'll be perceived. We can dive deep into self-reflection, ask ourselves the hard questions, and sift through our thoughts and feelings without distraction. This process of self-discovery is vital for personal growth. It's where we begin to understand our values, our boundaries, and what truly matters to us. Think about the times you've made significant changes in your life. More often than not, those changes were born out of introspection and a deep need to understand yourself better. Perhaps you decided to pursue a new career path, to end a relationship that no longer served you, or to take up a new hobby that ignited a passion within you. Those decisions often come from a place of privacy, a quiet space where you can listen to your heart and mind without the noise of outside opinions. Privacy also fosters resilience. When you're not broadcasting every challenge you face to the world, you can work through your struggles on your own terms. You can learn from setbacks without the added pressure of sharing those vulnerabilities with others. In this way, privacy becomes a cocoon, allowing you to transform and emerge stronger without the fear of judgment. This resilience is essential for growth, as it helps you build confidence in your ability to navigate life's ups and downs. Moreover, having a private space to grow also protects you from the distractions of comparison. In our social media-driven world, it's all too easy to fall into the trap of comparing our journeys with those of others. But when we guard our privacy, we free ourselves from that burden. We can focus on our unique paths, celebrating our progress at our own pace. This focus fosters a deeper appreciation for our individual journeys, allowing us to cultivate gratitude for our experiences instead of feeling inadequate next to someone else's highlight reel. Additionally, privacy allows us to nurture our relationships without external pressures. When we choose to keep certain aspects of our lives private, we create a deeper intimacy with those we trust. It allows for authentic connections that aren't influenced by public perception. When you share your journey with a select few, it fosters a sense of community and support that encourages growth. These relationships become safe havens where you can be vulnerable and receive honest feedback without the fear of it being dissected by the outside world. As we learn to embrace privacy, we also become more discerning about whom we allow into our lives and what we choose to share. We start to understand that not everyone deserves access to our innermost thoughts and feelings. This discernment strengthens our boundaries and empowers us to choose relationships that nourish our growth rather than drain our energy. So let us honor the beauty of privacy. Let's recognize that it's not about shutting others out, it's about creating a space where we can nurture our growth and explore the depths of our potential. In that sacred space, we can reflect, evolve, and transform into the people we are meant to be stronger, wiser, and more authentic than ever before. Embrace your privacy and allow it to be the fertile ground from which your most profound growth springs forth. In the hustle and bustle of everyday life, it's all too easy to let our peace take a back seat. We find ourselves juggling responsibilities, meeting expectations, and often sacrificing our own well-being for the sake of others. But here's the undeniable truth: your peace is a priority. It should be at the forefront of your life, guiding your decisions and shaping your experiences. When you prioritize your peace, you empower yourself to live authentically and joyfully. Your peace is not just a luxury, it is a necessity. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. When you cultivate inner peace, you create a sanctuary within yourself, a space where you can recharge and reflect. This sanctuary allows you to navigate the chaos of life with grace and resilience. It helps you maintain clarity, focus, and a sense of purpose amidst the noise and distractions. So often we allow external factors to dictate our peace. We get caught up in the expectations of others, in societal pressures, and in the relentless pace of modern life. But when you choose to prioritize your peace, you reclaim control over your life. You learn to set boundaries that protect your energy and well-being. You recognize that it's okay to say no to things that drain you, to step back from situations that disrupt your harmony, and to prioritize self-care above all else. Think about the moments when you felt truly at peace. Perhaps it was during a quiet morning with a cup of tea, a walk in nature, or a moment spent with loved ones free from distractions. Those moments are precious, and they remind us that peace is not found in grand achievements or external validation, but in the simple, quiet spaces we create for ourselves. When you prioritize your peace, you also invite deeper connections into your life. You become more present, more engaged, and more open to the people who truly matter. You cultivate relationships that nourish your spirit rather than drain your energy. In this way, peace becomes a magnet for positivity and love. It attracts those who appreciate and respect your boundaries, who uplift and support you rather than contribute to your stress. Moreover, prioritizing your peace allows you to approach challenges with a clear mind. Life will always throw obstacles your way, but when you have a foundation of peace, you're better equipped to face those challenges. You can respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. This emotional clarity enables you to make decisions that align with your true self rather than being swayed by fear or anxiety. Remember, peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of calm amidst chaos. It's about finding that stillness within yourself that allows you to navigate life's storms with resilience. When you prioritize your peace, you learn to cultivate that stillness, creating a reservoir of strength that you can draw upon when times get tough. Taking time for yourself is not selfish, it's essential. Whether it's carving out moments for meditation, journaling, or simply taking a deep breath, these practices are crucial for nurturing your peace. They serve as reminders that your well-being is important and that you deserve the same love and care that you give to others. In a world that often tries to pull you in a million different directions, remember this: your peace is your power. It is the key to unlocking a life filled with joy, purpose, and fulfillment. When you prioritize your peace, you send a message to yourself and to the world that you are worthy of a life that reflects your true essence. So take a moment today to reflect on what brings you peace. What activities nourish your soul? What boundaries do you need to set? What practices can you incorporate into your daily routine to prioritize your well-being? As you answer these questions, remember that prioritizing your peace is not a one-time decision, it's an ongoing commitment to yourself and to the life you want to create. Your peace is a priority. Honor it, nurture it, and watch as it transforms your life from the inside out. When you cultivate peace within yourself, you become a beacon of light for others, inspiring them to prioritize their own peace as well. And in that collective commitment to peace, we can create a more compassionate and understanding world, one where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Trust is one of the most precious currencies we possess in our relationships, whether with ourselves or with others. It's a foundation upon which connections are built, but here's the truth: trust is earned, not given freely. It's not something that should be casually handed out, it's something that must be cultivated, nurtured, and respected. In a world that sometimes moves at breakneck speed, we may find ourselves rushing to form bonds and connections. We may think that sharing a few personal stories or moments is enough to build trust. But real trust is not born from surface-level interactions, it's forged in the fires of shared experiences, honesty, and vulnerability. It requires time and intention. It's a gradual process of showing up for one another, of being reliable and consistent, and of honoring commitments. Think about the people you trust the most in your life. These are the individuals who have earned that trust through their actions, their words, and their presence. They are the ones who have proven time and again that they can be counted on. They show up not just when it's convenient, but also in the challenging moments when their support matters most. Trust blossoms in these moments, growing roots that run deep, anchored in the shared understanding of one another's values and beliefs. On the flip side, we've all experienced the sting of misplaced trust. When someone we thought we could rely on betrays that confidence, it can feel devastating. This is why it's so important to approach trust with discernment. It's not about being cynical or overly guarded, it's about valuing the bond that trust creates. It's about understanding that the gift of trust is something to be given carefully and mindfully. When we give trust freely, we open ourselves up to disappointment and hurt. But when we earn trust, we create a deeper connection that withstands the tests of time and adversity. We learn to rely on each other, not just in good times, but also through struggles and challenges. This shared experience creates a tapestry of understanding and empathy that enriches our relationships. In the journey of earning trust, honesty is a cornerstone. It means being transparent, communicating openly, and expressing our true feelings even when it's uncomfortable. It means admitting when we've made mistakes and taking responsibility for our actions. When we are honest, we create a safe space for others to be vulnerable as well. This mutual openness is what deepens trust and fosters genuine connection. Moreover, trust is reinforced through consistency. It's not enough to be trustworthy once or twice, it's about being reliable over time. It's about showing that your words align with your actions. When you consistently demonstrate integrity, people begin to feel secure in the knowledge that you will follow through on your promises. They will know that when you say you'll be there, you will be, and when you offer support, you mean it. This consistency builds a solid foundation of trust that can weather the storms of life. However, it's also essential to understand that trust is not static, it's dynamic and requires ongoing effort. Life can change and people evolve. As we grow, we may find that our values shift, our priorities change, and sometimes trust may need to be reevaluated. This doesn't mean that trust can't be rebuilt, it simply means that it requires awareness and commitment from both sides to maintain the integrity of that bond. Additionally, we must remember to trust ourselves. Self-trust is the first step toward trusting others. It involves believing in our judgment, our intuition, and our ability to make decisions that align with our values. When we cultivate self-trust, we become more discerning about who we let into our lives and who we choose to trust. This self-awareness empowers us to create relationships that are built on mutual respect and genuine connection. In essence, trust is a dance, a delicate balance of giving and earning. It flourishes in environments where honesty, consistency, and mutual respect are present. When you invest the time and effort into earning trust, you create bonds that are unshakable, enriching your life with deep connections that nourish your spirit. So as you navigate your relationships, remember this truth: trust is a gift that is earned, not given freely. Value it, nurture it, and honor it. When you approach trust with this understanding, you'll cultivate relationships that are stronger, more meaningful, and incredibly fulfilling. In this way, you'll create a life rich with connection, where trust is cherished and celebrated, transforming not only your relationships but also your own sense of self.